is there a possibility for reform? And how can folks like independent financial advisors help put this reform into place for the better of all?
Well, the question is very interesting. Thank you. I think that the first reform, the most important reform in our civilization, because it's a problem of civilization today, is that when you follow the families, when you follow the religions, when you follow the laws, everywhere they tell you have to follow this, you have to do this, this is the right thing to do, you have to respect these and these norms and so on. And when these people, after university, where also they learn what to do, the good things or the right things, and when they come to the practical work world, the world of work, all of a sudden everything changes, especially when you go into the big companies, the huge companies, where there is no norm. There is only objectives, and you have to attain them by all means. So as long as we have those giant companies without any rules inside to attain the objectives that they fix you, we will not have a new opinion or a new vision of the economy and of its utility.
So you're talking about shifting the very fabric of society. And I think that's something very similar to what the brother mentioned. Maybe it wasn't necessarily a financial crisis, it was a crisis of morality. Is this what you're speaking about? The actual, by theory, people say, yes, we know the rules, we know what to do, but then by practice, we have seen something else, and we continue to see something else, because the very people, as you mentioned again, the very people who actually were part of the cause of the financial and economic crisis are still in power. So if we move from an individual sense to a governmental stance, how can we clean this mess up? Because there's so many sort of holes, right? So many cracks in terms of peoples and in terms of the big corporations you're talking about. Where do you start? What should be done maybe in the short term, and what should we look at changing in the long term to really create this reform and to better the world?
Well, to come back to my first thoughts and my first analysis is that we have to go back to real economy again. This is the first thing. The second thing is that we have to encourage young people to get into active life and to create, and not to get into the regular, let's say, networks of very big companies. The third thing is that we have to separate the banks from global banks into banks which make eventually investment or speculative placements, to the public banks, which have to be completely separated. And the politicians also have to play a very important role in that, in order to bring morality and in order to set up again in the center of the economy the real productive tool, which is to give to the people incentives.
And then my final question, Pierre. The link here also is how the financial sector can help this last 1,000 days to boost the achievement of the MDGs and then toward the Sustainable Development Goals, and to help, of course, UN and efforts with partners. CIFA sees itself as a UN partner, and I believe the UN is seeing CIFA more and more as a UN partner. So how can these very intelligent human beings here at the conference, and those being represented by them being here, how can you folks, in fact, deliver on helping to achieve the MDGs and move ahead to the SDGs? What ways and what mechanisms?
Well, the first thing is that the people of the profession have to consider or have to realize that there is a solidarity. They have to be much more present in the initiatives of CIFA in order to justify that we are really active actors in the economy, and we are trying to protect the client's savings. And also the third thing, which is much more important, is to show that we should not be mixed with the big banking institutions which are playing with the monies of the people. And unfortunately, from 12 years that I have created CIFA, I don't see the people being involved because they are small. They are small. As a matter of fact, smaller units, productive units in the economy are much more by their size, much more moral. There is also always a percentage, a probability, but they're too big. You cannot rule them. They are too big. They are too big to fail. They are too big to whatever.